It's that time of week again, Sunday, 6 p.m. Welcome to Steve's Place. And for those who like to check out our website, testatech.info, just click on the QR code there, and that will take you right to it. In the meantime, we have a lot of stuff to cover tonight. I want to remind everyone and maybe even join. First, I'd like to remind everyone about our videos on demand on our website, testatech.info. If you go there and you see this banner here, you click on it, and it will bring up the how-to page, and you can buy T-shirts there, and you can also get our um, our video on demand there. It's $99 for the video on demand, and it's a one-time fee, and it's good forever. And you have a complete access to the last year's conference and all the interviews um, forever. And if you just like to make a donation, if you notice there's like a green button there, that's for a donation. If you want to give us a donation directly, and we appreciate every penny we get. There's a lot of things that we need to do to keep this operation alive. Um, Hopefully, we may be able to get a new computer. We definitely need a new computer. I don't know if you were watching last week, but it kind of died right at the end, and it's come the ending is kind of strange at the end of that. I don't know exactly what happened, but our computers are at this point. I got that computer back in 2012. Yeah, in 2012. So it's an old computer, still runs on Windows 10, which they are now no longer going to be covering it anymore. So if you could help us, maybe get a new computer, would appreciate it. You know, but in the meantime, I also want to remind everyone we have a YouTube channel. Our YouTube channel is growing by leaps and bounds. We are 200 short of getting 20,000. So if you know someone, refer them to our Test the Tech YouTube channel and get them to subscribe. Subscriptions are free. We have hundreds of videos up there which they can watch, without cost. And we also have a membership, okay, which is $9.99 a month. To get to it, just go to our homepage. If you see like a little guy there is looking at it, and you have like a big yellow box on that page there. And we have three things there. The Test the Tech channel. If you click on that, brings you to the channel itself. Or you can go to the conference directory. We have 40 years worth of conferences up there. So if you go up and you can pick out the year you want to look, just click on it. It brings up all the speakers of that year in it. And we're also working on our speaker directory. If you know who you want to hear, you can give it a shot and look up that speaker's name and see how many of them they've spoken at over the years. So just go to testatech.info and check out those three modes of operation. And of course, we have our exclusive membership, which gives you access to everything. We have over 1,500 videos up there, and we're adding more. In fact, I'm working on this week converting more VHS tapes and DVDs to videos that go online here. So keep checking it out. If you're a subscriber or a member, and you mark to be notified, then notify every time we put something up there. So it's $9.99 a month to join the YouTube channel. It gives you access 24/7 around the world. Anywhere you have YouTube, you can watch our videos from the trenches of the Ukraine to the space station. We're available. Now, without further ado, let me introduce you to Terry. And just a second, I got a few things I got to do here. Yeah, hide this, change this. And Terry Wolfe, he's one of the managing partners here at Test Tech LLC. And tonight we're going to be covering a topic that is making more and more headlines every day. and most people are totally unaware of it, and they get blindsided, and it's going to be a major driver to the homeless problem as time goes on. These things are called zombie loans or zombie mortgages. Would you like to take it from there, Terry?
Good
Good
evening.
evening.
I have
I have.
a very good story to, well, not a good story, but I have a story to share with you that I've been working on for since about 2020. My real estate lady had retired um, about 2018. I stopped by one afternoon to visit her back in 2020, and when I arrived to her house, there was notices posted on her front door. They were going to auction her home the following week. The house was foreclosed on without her having any knowledge of the problem. What happened here was that in '09, when the real estate market was at its worst point, Barbara was forced into a situation where she had to file for bankruptcy. And during that period of time, all her debts were kind of consolidated. A lot of her properties were sold off. And in the mix, there was this second mortgage that was on her house, and it was an unsecured $78,000 note. And when the bankruptcy was completed, the unsecured note was discharged. Barbara had moved on with her life, and from 2009 all the way up to 2020, not aware that this second mortgage was even still out there because it was discharged. She had been making the payments on her house regularly, had not missed any payments, and out of the clear blue, this company called West Coast shows up. They represent a company called SLS. And if you get on the internet and you type in zombie loans, you're going to see all kind of horror stories where people are losing their homes left and right. So naturally, Barbara was in a panic, didn't know what to do. When I brought her the paperwork and I said, do you know anything about this? The only thing she knew is that her pastor had gone to court for her and told her that everything had been taken care of. Well, I called the pastor up to find out what exactly did he do. He said that this company had a second mortgage on Barbara's house, and that what they were trying to do was to take the unsecured note and get it secured against the property. Him not having the knowledge in real estate, did not understand the repercussions of what he had done. He told them that because they said, we're not interested in collecting anything from Barbara. We're just our concern is in the event that she sells the house or she passes away, we want that note to be included to be, to be able to collect on it. So he thought, well, that's fine, because she was going to live in the house till she passed away anyway. Long story short, they misled the court and the pastor, and immediately turned around after securing the mortgage, the second mortgage. They had recorded at the recorder's office. They started foreclosure proceedings on her. Never notified her. Never even sent her a copy of the recording of the second. And of course, the bishop did not know what to tell me. He just said, I'm sorry, I didn't understand, but I was assured that this would not be a problem for her. Long story short, was in 2021, I was forced into a situation where we had to hire an attorney because what I did to stop the auction on the house was immediately I went out and tried to find a law firm or an attorney or anyone that could help me. I even went to legal aid and tried everything that I could possibly come up with. But long story short, I had to um, file bankruptcy uh, that Friday prior to the auction on that following Monday. So I was able to stop the foreclosure sale, the auction on the house. And then in the meantime, I was able to find an attorney that was willing to help represent me in this matter. The guy's name was Michael Harker. He's um, a real estate lawyer here in Las Vegas, and he does practices divorce and many other issues. But his main thing is bankruptcy and mortgage. He said, Terry, we don't have a problem because it's obvious that this company had not notified Barbara and that they are outside of the statute of limitation. Supposedly, a federal statute says after 10 years, they are not able to come back and claim anything. And there's another provision where they are required by law to notify the client, the customer, that they have pending bills. So that never sending a statement, never doing any of these things, they managed to get a secured interest in Barbara's property. Long story short was that we won that case in 2021. It was ruled in our favor due to the statute of limitation. West Coast turns around and files an appeal. So we end up in the Nevada Supreme Court, and it sat there for several years. Nevada Supreme Court didn't really want to address the issue. This is a major problem all over the country, especially here in Las Vegas. There's a lot of homes where people had taken out second mortgages, and for whatever reasons, they've had to either refinance or they've had to do bankruptcy. But the long and the short of the story is that this has become a very popular and profitable situation for attorneys, and it's gotten so good that it went from a relatively a handful of lawyers that were buying up these bad debts and collecting on them, to now there's corporations and banks that are involved with resurrecting these old discharged. Many times these loans have been paid off through the mortgage insurance, but they're buying these loans pennies on the dollar. In many cases, these are fraudulent transactions going on. But if you don't have the knowledge or understand what's going on, you'll find yourself in a position that an old, and this is not just talking about second mortgages. The reason why they're called zombie loans, that now it's becoming such a big business. It can be old student loans. It could be credit card debt. It can be many different things. And that people they're not aware of it because they thought that these have either been rolled into a new loan or have been discharged. But it's a real problem. And the issue that we're facing right now, Barbara Kessler, at 88 years old, bedridden. I have been fighting this for her ever since the beginning in 2020. Just recently, on December 2nd, she was removed from her house. The lender came in and evicted her within less than 15 minutes. They had it all pre-staged. They showed up with an ambulance. They took her out of her hospital bed. She was home and on home hospice care. And I hauled her off. to the hospital, and the hospital called me and said, "Mr. Wolfe, what do we do with her? Because she's not ill, and we need these beds for sick people." Well, I had to go get her and put her into a friend's house to take care of her while we tried to unwind this mess. The creditor, or the bank, we should say, has decided to deny access to the house. Nevada statute says that within the first 5 days, they have to allow uh, people to have access to their belongings or personal items. If not, there's a violation there. But they chose not to honor that. They have prevented her from getting her hospital bed, from getting her oxygen generator, her oxygen bottles, her medication. She literally went to the hospital by ambulance and was left. I have not been able to get any of her belongings back. Matter of fact, everyone in the house has been denied access. One of the guys that was actually living in that house, he was forced to leave the house without his driver's license or any identification. They would not allow him back in the house to get his personal, um, and get his driver's license or the keys or anything for his vehicle. I mean, 10 minutes, the house was locked up. So just beware. This is becoming a epidemic. The uh, people that are working in this area, some of the lawyers and the um, financial credit bureaus and things are very, very concerned about this activity. But it is now becoming a very profitable thing. So if you think you may have a old second mortgage or discharge note or any loans that you think that may have been rolled into a new loan, let's say like you had old credit card debt, you took your cards and you have consolidated them all into a new lower payment, you need to go back and make sure that those were all closed out properly, because if not, the zombie loans will come back and haunt you, because it's a very, very profitable business these days. So it's something to be very concerned about. And I think Steve maybe has some articles, and we have some stuff we can share with you, places to go for research and videos that are available. But it's a nightmare.
It's a very much a nightmare,
And it's far more serious than people realize. I mean, when you can be evicted from your home without having um, a 3 day, 5 day notice, just to have somebody knock on your door and send you out on the street when you having no knowledge. And many times this is what's happening. People aren't even aware that they even had this problem. I know people that have called their bank asking, "Did you sell my house? Do you know anything about um, my home being sold?" The bank will say, "No, we know nothing about it. Your payments are perfect. Your credit's good," and they're not even aware that the predatory lenders have come back in and taken people's homes away from them.
so one of the agencies that is covering this is the Consumer Protection Agency up at the federal level. And here's a flyer on it. It has the guidance and has all kinds of links and everything on this. And anyone who would like to get a copy of that, just drop me an email over the week here, and just say you want to see the zombie paper, and I can send you the PDF through email. And there's just a lot of things I noticed in the comments. Well, like they said, like Amacar says, they can't take anyone out of a home without a formal eviction process. Well, that's assuming that they follow the law. And in this case here, the judge is not one of the judges involved. Doesn't even want to hear about statute of limitations and that, And so she is promoting lawlessness there in itself. But that's it's all covered under federal law here. Um, the
One of the things that Steve was referring to was that um, earlier this year, it was back in about late January or February, the Nevada Supreme Court ruled on Barbara's case that had been sent to the Nevada Supreme Court, and that was with the appeal that was filed by the West Coast. The court ruled that it was in the wrong jurisdiction. They kicked it back down to the lower court. The lower court discharged the case and with prejudice, and they asked for Barbara to refile that case. At that point, we had hired the attorney that had handled the case in the federal bankruptcy. He was most familiar with it, and I was able to get him to take the case on a flat fee basis. We paid him $20,000 to resolve this matter for Barbara. And as he's moving this case forward, we refiled. As he was moving the case forward, the judge that was overseeing this new case for Barbara's bankruptcy, or not bankruptcy, for Barbara's zombie loan, my attorney, or Barbara's attorney, Joseph Hong, was arguing that, Your Honor, this doesn't even belong in court because federal statute is very clear on this matter that the 10-year statute of limitation was far past the time that they came in and secured their interest in the property. And the judge said, this is a flat, straight quote from the judge, "I don't care what the law says. This is my court, and everybody's got to pay something." So as far as she's concerned, federal statute does not apply in her courtroom. Well, unfortunately, she's stepping outside of her fiduciary duties, and she's determining these decisions on her own. And result of that, she said that Barbara had to come up with $78,000, which was the original amount for the second on the house. It had to be a cash bond that had to be posted, or we had 1 week to do it, or she was going to go ahead and allow the house to be foreclosed on and sold. They went ahead and had a foreclosure sale. The bank was not even notified, was not even aware of it. And that was back in, I believe, late September. I had put her back into bankruptcy to stop all that, which worked fine. But what happened next was that we were supposed to have a creditors meeting. And this is another trap they'll get you into. Because we did not file a plan for how to resolve all our debt. They canceled Barbara's bankruptcy, said that she was not following the procedure, not knowing that would be an issue. I thought, well, okay, big deal. We'll just go back and refile a new bankruptcy, thinking that, it'd start the whole thing over again, only to find out that if you file more than once in a given year, you lose your bankruptcy protection. And of course, the only reason why people file bankruptcy is to protect the asset until they can work out some sort of a reasonable payment plan. But in this case, the judge allowed this to go through. The bankruptcy court did not give her the protection she needed. So then I go back for a third time and I file what they call an adversary proceeding with a demand for a jury trial. The whole point for this was to get the bankruptcy court, which is federal court, to have a trial and to bring out the fact that federal statute is very clear that the statute of limitation is 10 years, and they went way beyond that. And I felt that we would be in a good shape to win that case. We just had a second hearing, or the first hearing on the adversary proceeding hearing, which has now been rescheduled for January 9th. But in the meantime, even though the second mortgage, the bank is acting outside of the law, they filed for an eviction to try to get Barbara out of the house. And we went to court. The judge allowed Barbara to file an appeal on the eviction process. And that was heard in, I think it was the early November. But then the judge told us that we could go and file an appeal for his decision, gave us 2 weeks to do that. And in that 2 weeks, we had gotten a new trial date hearing, and they continued to move on without notifying the court or anyone. And they ended up getting what they call a writ. And that's what gave the marshal the ability to come out to the house and evict Barbara without notice. And that, again, the court was unaware of it. Right now, we're in a process trying to have an emergency hearing. We do have an appeal date that's already set up, but she is actually in the hospital now because without having her proper medication, a medical bed, because she is bedridden, and her oxygen and these things, she only lasted about a week before I had to have her put back in the hospital. And now she's in rehab, and just a tragedy. I mean, it's just absolute criminal what people are doing out there. So these people have no respect for the law. The law means nothing. They will lie, cheat, say anything they need to do to move their cause forward. And I believe, and I think Steve is right on this also, that by getting Barbara out of the house and removing her from the property, that they were going to try to get the case thrown out because it would be moot. There was no case. Is that right, Steve?
Pretty much.
Yeah.
But I'd like to point out a couple of things here. There's a thing called the Fair Debt Collection Practice. And in that, when someone owes you something, you're supposed to notify them immediately and keep making good faith efforts to collect that debt. And when they sit on these debts for like 10 years or more, which is what's happening, then all of a sudden come out of nowhere with these humongous sums, that's a violation of the Fair Debt Collection Practice itself. The other thing I'd like everyone to do is get yourselves familiar with Title 18. Because Title 18 is what keeps a lot of government in check, It has things like acting under color of law, like when they act like they actually have authority, where they really don't have authority, but you may think they have authority because of their position in that. That's called acting under the color of law. It's a very powerful tool, and I notice, like, if I keep a Title 18 sitting on my dash, if I ever get stopped and they see that Title 18 sitting on my dash, all of a sudden they back up and they act very polite to you because they assume you know what's in there. But yeah, it's a very powerful book, Title 18, and of the United States Code, which is all the laws of the United States. So, and we hope that Terry can get his get back in his house here pretty shortly. Uh,
Yeah, we'll keep you. Steve will. We'll keep that on the link so people can follow along with how this case ends up uh, getting resolved. If not, so one way or another, it will be resolved probably within the next 6 months.
and this can happen to anybody because it's just not mortgages. I mean, they just go through and they're making up debt. In fact, there's a federal court case where the judge come out and he told the company that was out there collecting millions from all these people, just sending them a bill, and demanding all this money. And people, a lot of people just pay stuff like that. They don't look, where the bill is coming from. And the judge made that company pay everybody back, you know, and because every person in this country has the right to see the note that is the bill, So in this case here, you have what your paperwork to sign when you get a mortgage. You have a right to see that note, signed by you. And the problem is, over the past 20 years, these people have gotten so lax trying to flip buildings and everything so fast. They started skipping steps, and when they do that, they're screwing everything up. And
And that's one
you're
of the
not
big problems. Yeah, that's one of the big problems with Barbara's case. Ever since this case was in we won the first go around back in 2021. To this day, they have never showed us where they actually loaned Barbara the money. They've never been given us a true and accurate accounting of what they paid for the note when they acquired it, and how they derived the number that they came up with. But that $78,000 note turned into about a $200,000 note, so it's exceeded the value of the original mortgage, which is just hard to fathom, and that's where we have a real problem. Is you know we you're entitled to have a breakdown of these expenses, and what Steve is talking about, that people will get blindsided for these crazy numbers, and if you don't know the right questions, and you are by law, the lender is required to give you this information, they will buffalo you and try to sidestep it. And we're still dealing with that issue alone. Right there, everything should have come to a halt on this case. So,
and when you're borrowing money like through a bank or a credit card company or whatever, and you can't make that payment or whatever, and it turns bad and everything, they get their money. It's either covered through insurance and that, or it's covered through the government. They take their tax exemption on it. That that gets covered. And then they turn around and they sell the debt for pennies on the dollar. And what I have never been able to understand is how people can go in there and buy the debt for pennies on the dollar, yet you can't go buy your own debt back for pennies on the dollar. They'll call that what moral hazard, and yet banks do all the time. Like this bank here, they had their auction. No one bid on it, so they bid on. They put their own bid in for themselves. That's a deliberate attempt there to take and start creating a new title with Barbara not even on it. So,
and that's the other thing that at that auction, I was present for that auction. Um, you have to be pre-registered. You have to have your enough money to do the bid. And in this case, we only had one other individual that showed up for that auction. He asked about he bidded on the house, and then he asked several questions. And um, after realizing that there was a less pendants on the house and the numbers that weren't adding up and things of this nature, he waived and passed on that bid, said he was not interested. And then West Coast, the second lender, goes back and buys the note back for what's owed. And by doing that, they created a new deed. So again, this is the bank that has the whole first, who is first in line, was not even there or even aware that there was an auction on the house. And right now, they still are not aware of it because Barbara had in September received new paperwork with a reduced monthly payment on the original mortgage. So here you are with a company that's out doing hocus pocus, and the bank that's holding the original note is totally unaware that the house has been sold without their knowledge. So, real problem.
So anyway, is there anything else you want to cover, Terry?
No, I just there's I know we have a lot of people that are trying to develop new technology, and they're out trying to borrow money, and sometimes they may use their personal properties and things of this nature to try to keep advancing their projects. They just need to be aware and just know that this is something that you may have done 20 years ago and not even aware of it. And these things can come back and haunt you, and they take everything you own.
So I'd like to remind everyone again. I have this this flyer here from the Consumer Protection Bureau. They have some links and everything in there. If you find yourself anywhere near that, or just want for your own information to have it handy, this would be it. It had, like I said, it has these links in here. You click on the PDF and that, which has the people that you talk to, and everything. I normally don't like to get into politics or even the or financial stuff per se, but this one here is of such critical importance to everyone because we all have a dream of having a house. At least I have a dream, and you can never tell anymore. Who heard of this stuff 20 years ago? You never seen all this stuff and that, you know. Um, and the thing with Barbara that really gets me is that she's a vet, you know, and even vets are not immune to have something like this happen to them. I'm a vet. When I bought my first house, it was underneath the GI Bill. You know, someday I might be able to get a house again, and again it will be through the GI Bill. But this here, you got to be real careful what you're buying because you can't tell if there's any liens on it because these people are just come out of nowhere. They hang on to these notes, or claim that they have notes for 10, 15 years, and they're really looking for people who have their house paid for. If your house is paid for, that's really a big pickings for them. Yeah, because they don't have anybody to pay off or anything. So yeah.
So that's one of the things that they are doing. That in many cases like this, these back in '09 when a lot of these loans were taken out, these old loans are so far back that they have homes have increased in value, or your equity has now grown to a substantial number. So now these guys have something to latch onto. So if there's no equity there, then they're not going to waste their time and energy to go after something that they cannot collect on. So there are some videos out there, Steve. I don't know if you want to show any of them, but people that have had no knowledge, and these debts have accumulated. The value of the homes have gone up, and these are absolute cash cows for these predatory lenders to go out and start these foreclosure proceedings. In many cases, they are 100% illegal, and that's predatory practices. It's bad.
And it's contributing to the homeless problem because there are these people, thought they had a home, and then all of a sudden you find yourself out in the street with or without notice, And if you don't know how to do any of this, you're screwed.
The real tragedy with this type of activity going on is the lack of, the resources that people need. Because let's say, if we use Barbara for an example, she's on a fixed income, and when they put her in the hospital, now all her medical expenses have gone through the roof, and because she was on home hospice care, once she was removed from the house and put in the hospital, that immediately canceled her home hospice care, which made it manageable for her to have a halfway decent living, to be able to take care of her expenses and die peacefully. But now she's in a hospital rehab without the money to even take care of that. She has no resources to get into an assisted living home, and everything that's in her home will be either pilfered or it will be auctioned off, because they plan on if you don't take it, they're um, it's forfeited and they take it. So you lose everything that you had to your name. In Barbara's case, um, her two dogs are missing. Um, um, it's a tragedy. It's a real tragedy. So
And it's a resource eater because, like, it not only impacts the person who gets targeted, it impacts everyone around them because, they need help, like moving stuff or doing whatever they can and everything. Uh, and everyone loses because of stuff like this.
Barbara had a full staff of people from home hospice. She had doctors that used to come to the house 3 days a week. She had nurses that came and bathed her and took care of her. The one nurse was there getting her ready for the day, and they made her leave. And they said they don't have time for this. You got to go. They loaded Barbara up, and so all these people are losing their jobs on top of Barbara losing her ability, to live out her elderly years. Now she is um, subject to be on the streets, no place to go, no resources, and accumulating just huge debts now. And she's in the hospital because she's lost her coverage. So I'm
So
reapplying for all that stuff.
if anybody wants to contact you, Terry, how would they get hold of you?
They can contact us through Tesla Tech, through your website, and then just forward it to me, or just reach me on Terry at teslatech.com or
.info.
yeah, .info.
Um,
So you can email me direct on Tesla Tech, Terry at teslatech.info, or through Steve. And if you have friends or family, or people that are um, dealing with these types of issues, one of the things that I'm trying to do right now is setting up a law group that we can give some advice to help point you to the right resources to help you deal with this, because so many of us, we don't have the money to pay large law firms and stuff. So um, the little law group that I've created is um, works on donations. So we're trying to help where we can, and if there's any way possible we can help you, we will do our best. So don't hesitate to reach out, or have whoever that's faced with these issues.
I'd like to, at this point, remind us go to happier topics now, if you don't mind, Terry.
Go right
And
ahead.
we'll talk about this year's conference. It's going to be planning on August 6th to August 10th is our target dates. We're still kind of in negotiations, right now with the hotel on that, and we'll see how they respond, because we want to get everybody super rate here, you know, at the conference site. Um, right now, it could possibly be about $120 a night, is what they're looking at. I'm trying to further. It will include breakfast, and we will have something every night at the conference itself. I had to raise my rates uh, on the conference. They've went up, and we'll be doing more on this next week. And the thing is we're going to have um, heavily discounted, heavy discounts for a while, and that will help those who plan ahead to try to keep their costs to about what they were this year. That's our goal here, and at least on my end and on the hotel, we're trying to get that back down, again. Who knows what next year is hold? I'm looking for. Uh, well, life goes on, like you seen the movie when the meteor hits the Earth, it takes out half the United States, and the president says, "Well, life goes on." Well, uh, that's what I'm looking for because we're gonna have big changes this year in store. Um, I'm expecting to have a bigger attendance. I'm expecting to. We're going to do the live stream again, uh, and I don't know when those ticket sales will start. As far as the live stream, I also have the vendor there. The guys doing the production company on the live stream. What we're trying to do still is to come up with gifts, gift packages. So, like, if you want to buy someone uh, a live stream, you'll be able to do that, easier than the process they would have now if you want to do that. So we're working on a lot of stuff here, and I expect this year to be pretty good. Um, I'm going to try to get uh, a preliminary skeleton, real rough skeleton. The speakers out, hopefully in the next 2 weeks here, and you can start seeing the kind of speakers we're going to have, which is, well, we all already know that they're all great, Uh, I also encourage you, if you know anyone that you think should be there as a speaker, have them contact us. If they should be there as a vendor, have them contact me, now. And we get this stuff rolling here. Um, I'd like to bring up the fact, that on our YouTube channel, at this point, we're 200 short of 20,000, and we should have that by the new year. And so let other people know about us. Don't keep us as the best kept secret in science. If you know one who have other conferences, have them let us know when the conference is. Right now, I do know that there will be a contact in the desert, and that will be pretty close to Memorial Day. And I'm hoping maybe to be there this year. Last year I was going to be there, but ended up in the hospital. So anyway, here's some of the attitude. Looking forward for cheaper prices, no damn users or stupid government drones. Well, I don't know about those drones. All those drones in New Jersey. I don't know if anyone here have heard about the Blue Beam Project. Back in the 90s, uh, it was supposed to be like a government projection, holographic projection that was supposed to happen, and convince everybody that it was Jesus Christ coming down in the second coming. Was one of the projects they're working at, and so anyway, this was back like in the 90s and that, and so this could be an offshoot of that. Maybe that was a real thing after all, and this is for it. Then again, I don't know how many here have seen that Phoenix Lights. That was back in what was that? I believe when I first moved to Phoenix, back in '97, I believe. 97, 98. When you had the meteor, the comet, coming through and everything, then you had the Phoenix Lights all happening at the same time, and no one has really come up with a good story about the Phoenix Lights and that. I just happened to land at my friend's house. I just moved to Phoenix, and he was like central station for all these videotapes, and all these people who took videos of his life came by his thing. So I've seen thousands of them. So anyway, there's just a lot going on right now, and I hope we have a good show for you next week. Don't know who it is going to be yet. Like I say, there's just a lot of stuff, and I hated to get into the financial aspects here, but this is just so important, and so many of us is susceptible to this. But anyway, do you have anything else, Terry, or are you about done for? I think he's gone. Anyway, yeah, and I want to apologize for last week, because I don't know what happened. Somehow I got kicked off the screen myself, and I had to come in through a back door there to get back online, and I just don't know what happened, and I'm working on fixing that. This has been a really rough month so far. My credit card machine, I still don't have that working right. It's called tech support every night, on that. They sent me a new one. And then the computer glitch from last week, got both my cars, develop engine problems. It will all work out. Life goes on, and I'm still alive and still in good spirits. So I hope to see everyone next week here. And thank you for coming. Thank you for listening. And we'll see you next week. And I have a